everybody!
Hey everyone, welcome to We'd Rather Be Reading. I'm Jerrica.
And I'm Lia, and we're late.
We're late. We're late, but it's been a year. The year is almost over.
A full year.
I know.
This is our first year of podcasting, and it's been a year. We've read some books.
We've read so many books. I actually looked at, I think I put on my Goodreads list 50 books.
Yep.
And I think I have somewhere near 150.
No, you had more than that. I looked this morning.
You did, but
Yeah.
I looked at my read books, and it was also books that I forgot that I didn't put in that I read. So it's not 100%.
Because you said 190.
Yeah.
Yeah. I had only one book that I read before that's on there. So I have 152. Because I've been doing this reading challenge for a few years.
I know, and this was my first year.
Yeah.
Because you told me about it, and I was like, oh, I haven't kept updated with the Goodreads in many years, so...
But I love Goodreads, and honestly, my husband did like the best thing this Christmas.
Yeah.
He did like an advent calendar of books for like the last week before Christmas.
It's like so romantic.
So I got a book every morning. So he's like gifted me, like you can do that apparently in Apple Books. You gift a book and then you get like an email saying you've been gifted a book.
Oh my gosh.
So I got a book every day for the last week before Christmas, which was excellent. And he was like, I really hope your Goodreads is up to date. I'm like, yes, it is.
Oh, because he was looking through it to make sure you hadn't read it.
And it's mostly up to date. I'm like, if it's anything that's older than 4 or 5 years ago, then it's not up to date. But I've been doing the reading challenge for the past 3 or 4 years or so. So it's up to date for those years. And yeah, 152 books so far, but the year's not over yet.
Dun, dun, dun.
I can do another couple before. And we're recording this on the Wednesday before New Year, so we have 3 more days, 2.5.
And you have a gigantic puzzle, which means audiobooks.
Oh my god, my children challenge me to like I love puzzles. I do, and I do like these 1,000-piece puzzles whenever I'm on vacation.
Yeah.
And the kids are now trying to outdo themselves by getting me the most difficult puzzles. Apparently they wanted to get me a single color one.
Oh my god.
Which I was like, no, I don't want that. So they got me a Van Gogh puzzle where all of the pieces look the same.
It does. I've seen it with my own eyes, and it looks impossible.
A challenge. Yeah, on day 3, I was like, usually I finish a 1,000-piece puzzle in like 3 days. And this, I'm halfway done. Halfway. It's a challenge, yeah. Anyways, so that's been a thing. So I've got new books to read for Christmas. Did you get any books for Christmas?
No, my husband is not there yet.
He's not supporting you reading enough.
He's not there yet in the support of me reading. In fact, he would say things like, this is so antisocial that you're finishing your book. And I was like, look, I have 2% left. Just let me. It's only 2%. And then he's like, gosh, you're an addict.
Oh, and my husband says that too. He calls me an addict. But you know what he also said, you should tell your husband this, is he says he doesn't mind it as much when it's books that he's purchased for me.
Oh, nice.
So now he's all like, oh, she's enjoying her Christmas gift. And I'm like, yes, this is totally what I'm reading.
I have a physical book at home that one of our friends, Anita, lent me. And I think it's called City of Brass. Anyways, it's about jinns, like genies and stuff like that. And I was like, oh, I'm going to grab this book and curl up with it. And Johan is like, what are you doing? I'm like, I'm going to open this book. And he's like, but it's so big. Yeah. But you don't realize when I read ebooks, sometimes they're like 3 times the size of this one. Currently, I am listening to the Jennifer L. Armentrout series and the Blood and Ash ones. Mm-hmm. And each audiobook is like 27 hours.
Which is about 17 hours too long.
It's so
or
long.
so.
But if he would have seen that physical book, he would have been having the shakes.
Yeah. Like, no, all of our time together. Yeah, I think it's the same here. I just finished a book now while doing puzzling this morning, and it's Eleanor Oliphant is Completely Fine, which is really, really good. I can strongly recommend this one.
Awesome.
It's by Gail Honeyman, and the narration is mwah!
Oh, yay.
Yes, it's British, but half of it is done in a Scottish accent, and it's really, really nice.
You know, I have a little bit of a hard time with British narration that we have found this year out because, well, you used to live in London, so I think maybe you have a little different connection to the accent. And of course, I have friends and family that live in London also. But the thing is with British accents and me, I think it's like when I grew up, it's like very Mary Poppins-y. And it puts me to sleep. It's like this wonderful melodic accent that puts me to bed. And I drift away.
Even Scottish.
I mean, probably not Scottish, definitely not.
Melodic is not really the
No, I'm talking like
word I
posh
would
London
use.
accent. And so when we listen to books that have this British narration, or I should say posh London narration,
Mary Poppins sounding voice.
I go bye-bye.
Bye. Yeah. No, we've listened to some really good audiobooks this year, and there's been some really good narrators. Like my favorite one that I read her books, even though I didn't even want to read her books because I just wanted to listen to narration. With what was her name? I can't remember. She's also an actress on Why the Last Man. She was really good. And then obviously the woman who reads the Cassandra Clare books, A Chain of Thorns, A Chain of Roses, whatever it's called, which has the Welsh lilt to it, which I just loved. It's been glorious. And I listened to Sally Rooney recently, and those are always done in an Irish accent, which are also fantastic. And I love them.
Okay.
Yes. But we were going to summarize our year is the purpose of this pod here. It's coming out for you guys as a New Year's present on New Year's Eve. And you have done some categories. I've just done my research, which has been excellent.
You sound much more educated than me. I just did lists like I'm a BuzzFeed reporter, and you did research like you're coming from the New York Times.
I had to go back to my Goodreads and actually think and look at the covers and stuff. It was a thing because the first one was also like favorite book of the year. I'm like, can I choose 10?
I know.
So, but I did make a choice though.
Yay!
Did you too?
Do you know what? I chose a series. Is that cheating?
No.
Okay. I chose a series, and for the most disappointing, I actually was proud of myself because I could have wrote like worst book.
Yeah.
But the most disappointing for me this year was not the worst book. It was still a good book. I just was disappointed by it.
The same.
Yeah,
Yeah, because otherwise it would have just been after or manhand.
Literally wrote in quotation marks.
Yeah.
Worst was after.
Yeah, it's true. But what was your favorite book of this year?
Okay, my favorite series of this year was something that I stumbled upon, and that's the Savage Land series by Stacey Marie Brown. I told you about it, and it is similar to the Court of Thrones books by Sarah J. Maas, except a little grittier.
Okay.
And I would say like a lot more realistically depicted in like what world would look like. I mean, it's not fairy, not fairy tale.
Yeah. I haven't read those.
I know.
Have to put them on there if they're your favorite book of the year, because my favorite book of the year is The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue.
I knew.
And I read so many good books since, but this one is still up there. And
I also thought about it too. It is a really good book.
And for like just the discovery of V.E. Schwab, like I'm like, how have I never read her books before? So I read this year so far, I read her series Shades of Magic, which I got for my birthday. And I read the Monsters of Verity duology, and I am currently reading her Villains duology. That might be a trilogy, but it's 2 so far. And this I was gifted for in my advent calendar by my husband. So he knows to go V. Schwab here when he buys me gifts. So far I've gotten 5 V. Schwab books.
That's awesome.
From him.
She's so good. Addie was an amazing book. I tell everybody about it. And it's becoming a
movie.
I cannot wait to see that.
Oh, it's going to be so good.
But the Savage Land books, I would say that is my personal preference of favorite. Not that I think it's the best written series, and I don't think that you will like it as much as me.
Fair enough, but I will still give it a try.
But it's
Did you have some
nitty-gritty.
Honorable mentions? Because I had some honorable mentions. I went like full on Oscars award ceremony here. And other honorable mentions. I had the Plated Prisoner series.
So did I.
I
wrote
so good.
the Glint Gleam series for
I had the Bear and the Nightingale series by Catherine Arden. I really liked those.
I didn't finish the whole series.
The Bridge Kingdom duology by Danielle Jensen.
No.
Yeah, they were really good. I really liked those.
Okay.
And the Fable duology by Adrian
Fable.
Young.
I have Fable as on here as well.
I really like those. And when it came to most disappointing, I again did not choose
Worst book.
I went like something that I had expected to be exceptional and was just disappointed by. And Sally Rooney is actually my choice here. Beautiful World, Where Are You?
That's right.
I was bored out of my brains. Yeah. And it's so, like, I'm a massive fan of Normal People. And I just finished Conversation with a Friend, which was excellent.
I loved it.
So good.
I saw you 5-starred it.
Yeah. And then this one was just not.
No.
It just wasn't that good. And another one, if we're going to go back to honorable mentions here, the Sky and the Deep series.
Yeah,
those two, because we were so high on the Fable duology, and then we read that, and it was like Fisk.
Yeah, by the same,
Fish Boy.
and it was the same author, and you're just.
It was like
it was a little bam.
Yeah. So what was yours?
My most disappointing actually this year was I have started to read a lot of these like epic fantasies this year, and I know getting into them, like the one I'm reading right now with the Jennifer L. Armentrout, Blood and Ash, they are really long. Yep. So you have to give it a go. You have to like know that it's going to be like a whole lot of information before there's action. There's not going to be like a lot of character development other than just information about them, and maybe you're not attached to them yet, and blah blah blah, because it's going to be more books. So I get that. But Legendborn, not Born, Legendborn was my disappointing book of the year because it was hyped like freaking crazy.
So I saw that when we were looking at sequels coming out next year. The second one, and I was like, meh, not really.
Exactly, because
not very excited
it was a letdown for me. It was going to be epic. It is going to be an epic fantasy series, like really, like developing worlds and characters and different magics and things like that haven't been in other books. But I didn't like the characters. I didn't get attached to the story whatsoever. And if you ask me about, if you ask me about a specific thing in the book, I don't even know if I could tell you what it is.
Well,
like that's how
the round tables and the hair washing as well. Yeah.
So, Legendborn was my disappointing book of the year.
Yeah, I agree with you on that one. Best section scene or romance novel.
I know.
What do you have here? Because this one stumped me a little bit. I was like,
did it?
Have I read any romance this year?
Good God, I read so much romance. Yeah. This year was my year of stumbling into reverse harem. I stumbled into MMFs, like these throuple relationships. And I actually, the first one I stumbled into was because of you. Because you were saying, oh, you got to read this girl. She writes about college.
Yeah.
And like these campus things and stuff like that. And then I looked into more of her. What's her name again?
It's not Serena Vaughan. It's the other one. It's the Elle Kennedy.
Elle Kennedy, that's right.
Yes.
And Elle Kennedy has a gazillion books. So then I started to look into what other books, because I finished that series that you told me about, which was good. I really liked it too. So then I looked at her like adulty ones instead of her college ones. And it was this where these 3 people fell in love, and it was 2 guys and a girl. And they had like this completely equal relationship. It was the first throuple romance I've ever read. Yeah. And I was like so taken by it. Like, this is so romantic. Love is love and everyone should be equal.
They're like, this is excellent in theory. Let's not put it to practice. I am not feeling equal in my sharing of love with. I don't like to share.
I don't like to share my personal life. No. But I think it's a beautiful thing that people find sharing is caring in books. Especially when it comes to reverse harem, because if I read a harem book, I would be like, scumbag. But in reverse harem, I'm like, you go, girl. Or these guys are so sweet to you. Where they call them
saddles.
Yeah, fuck. I know. No, exactly. So I have read a lot of romances this year, and my favorite romance / section scene was, I have 2 actually. So remember I told you that I got like taken aback by, I had never read, or I'm not so interested in BDSM stuff, right?
Yep.
And then I read the Sierra Simone trilogy called American Queen, Prince, and King. Yes. And it's a political romance, and it's male, female throuple relationship. And the throuple relationship is also accepted in a political like ideology, which would never happen in America. That's for damn sure. Mm-hmm. But it was like shocking because it was the first one that I read that had, I wouldn't say like, it's not BDSM in the way where it was like aggressive or anything like that, but there was like a dominant and submissive relationship. Mm-hmm. But they were equal outside of their like sexual relationship. Just behind closed doors, yep. She had to crawl to him and stuff like that. And I was like, you know what? I'm like, I was like gasping. Like, oh my God, like my rosy cheeks. And I'm not a judgmental person in the least bit. And I have a lot of stories of friends who've done the craziest shit ever. And I'm just like, tell me more. I want to know all of the things. But this made me like blush. The whole series, even thinking about it made me blush. But it is good. It is well written. It has good romance, good storyline, and fantastic sex scenes that have kink in them.
Yeah. I think my favorite one was The Roommate by Rosie Dannon. And I think I told you about this one. I read it early in the year, and it's about this woman who she's in love with her like best friend, so she moves across the country from New York to LA to live with him. Mm. And as she gets there, he's like, "I'm going away. Good news, you get the house. I have got another roommate that you get to share with." And the roommate happens to be a porn star.
Yeah.
And she's like very
male porns.
Yeah. And she's like very not like, she's not inexperienced. She's just not. Sex is not really something that she's enjoyed kind of thing. It's just something you do kind of thing. And then his whole thing is that it needs to be good for the women. And it's very sex positive, and it's very positive about female pleasure, that whole book. And it's quite good. I like that one was the one on my list of books I read this year that I like the best. Otherwise, I mean, just for an extreme amount of sex, I guess, is A Court of Silver Flames.
That was porn.
It's just porn. I mean, it's 863 pages of no porn, and then it's like 200 pages of just porn.
I remember we were like half reading it, half listening to it, and our kids would like talk to us and be like, "No, guys,
yes, this is awkward now. You know, come back later."
But it was a little repetitive, that also.
Yeah, no, but she's very repetitive. I find, Sarah J. Maas.
Yeah.
But I guess it's supposed to be so wild and out there and so Bondy mated Bond, and it's like the connection on a deeper level because we're bonded to each other. I don't like it.
My other mention was because it was so out there. Mm-hmm. And this is we talked last time about lists and how like books don't go on some lists or they shouldn't be on some list, blah, blah, blah. Yep. Well, I found this on one of those lists. And it did go on it, and it is Harley LaRue's Her Soul to Take. Okay. And it is a dark romance because he's a demon and he wants her soul. Mm-hmm. And there's a lot of section in this book, as much as there's like fantasy romance. And he has a spliced tongue, so I'm just going to leave it at
that. Wow. Do you remember when that was a thing in like the late 90s, early 2000s, where people would like cut their tongue and they could move like the tips individually? It was weird.
I'm like a little too young for that, but I remember my sister is your age, and she had older friends who had spliced tongues.
I knew a couple of people. When I lived in Brighton, I knew a couple of people with a pretty spliced tongue. Yeah, it was weird. It was like a party trick where they would like move them around and like flip one half of the tongue over the other and stuff, and we'd all be like, ew.
I gotta say, I'm not against it. It sounds like fun. Although I wouldn't then like bring them to work or to my family's house. Like, look at my new boyfriend. No, that's not a tongue ring. That's two tongues.
Yep. So I saw this thing on social media where it was like, I have tentacle under my tongues, and I figured out that other people don't. And it's like those little things that stick out from under your tongue, and they were like full on long on her.
Oh, like ribbons.
Yeah, like ribbons. Satiny dragging on the floor from her mouth. Oh God, that's disgusting.
Oh, that's so gross. No. But can they move them? Can you move these weird tongue tentacles?
I don't know. You're gonna have to research this.
I'm looking into it immediately. Okay, Siri.
So, Worst section scene or romance. What did you read this year that was exceptionally bad? I feel like there was a few.
There was so many. There was a few where I would message you to be like, oh God, Leah, look, this is what they did. I mean, last episode we talked a whole lot about dry humping, which we know that I'm not in support of because it's just chafy and hurts your skin. There's really no pleasure in it. And but I have 2 worst section scenes. And one is by a series that I actually quite like called Savage Bonds by Jay Bree. Mm-hmm. But they're bonded, which I know that you don't like.
No.
But the bonds in them, they're not spiritual bonds that tie them together. They're like demon bonds. So like you're a person and then your bond is like another person inside of you.
Weird.
Because it's like from a different world or whatever. Mm-hmm. I'm not there yet. There's another book coming out. Anyways, the girl is having 5 bonds as a reverse harem. I should start by saying that. Anyways, her bond and one of...
So she has like 6 personalities. Herself and then her 5 bond demon creatures. Weird.
Yeah.
Super weird.
And
or they don't like it.
So she gets captured by somebody who wants to like dissect her and figure out why she has this power and what her bond is all about and who her bonds are, because when you bond with other people you get stronger, and they want to steal her power. And there was nothing sexual that happened there when she was captured, but just to say, she was captured when she was 14 and she didn't get to meet her bonds until she was 19, 20 years old. So she's a virgin at this point. And she's all like pent up anger, pent up emotions and stuff. And now she's in a house living with her bonds who are trying to protect her, and she's trying to protect them. And her demon bond comes out one night because it felt threatened by a smell on a bed of perfume from one of her bonds, even though it wasn't he wasn't like cheating on her or anything like that. But her bond took over and challenged his bond, and his bond took over, and she lost her virginity without even being consciously aware of it.
That's not good.
It wasn't.
No.
It was so forceful and aggressive, and I'm like... But this is your first time, and you're like, no, why'd you do that? So, as much as I like the rest of the book, that section scene was a super downer for me. And then the other one was the book that we talked about last week, Promises and Pomegranates, and she comes because he cuts his initial into her.
Nope, don't like that either. Nope. Okay, I had... Laura Thalassa never disappoints with her missionary-only missive in Pestilence. Then A Princess for Christmas with all the dry humping is up there too. But worst of all was still Man Hands by Serena Bowen and Tanya Ebu. It was just so bad. Oh, no. And honorably mentions are After by Anna Todd, which was just stalkery. And he takes her virginity and shows the sheets to his friends. It was so bad. And, of course, the pantless Hades in A Touch of Darkness, where he just walks around without pants all the time.
I love that. I was like,
St.
but does he even wear pants?
Clearly not. But the worst... After Manhand, but like the worst, I was like bad section all the time was Corrupt by Penelope Douglas. And I talked about this in the beginning of the year because I read this, which was just evil and abuse masked as romance. It was when they take all of her money, they get her fired from her job, they isolate her, they like burn down her house, and then they're like, but we love you, we just want you to it was so weird. I did not like that at all. No, like non-consent is definitely the year's theme. But she's consenting to it, but it's like saying all of these things is romantic. Yeah, and I think it's that. It's like masked as romance. I don't like it. All right. We move on to covers because we judge all of the covers all the time. And sometimes we choose books based on the covers. Yes. And my 2 favorite covers of this year are actually 2 books that I've gotten from my husband as gifts. Oh. One for my birthday and one this Christmas. Mm-hmm. The first one is In the Quick. Okay. By Kate Hope Day, which is the astronaut floating away in the pink background. I think I've seen... Show me. I lent it to... Maybe I lent it to someone else. No, not to me. It's an excellent cover. And it just summarizes... It's so good. This one. Oh, yeah, that is beautiful. Yeah. And the other one is Night Bitch, which I think you will have on your worst covers, maybe. No, I pulled it out because it was on a list on Goodreads of interesting covers. Mm-hmm.
that I saw
But surprisingly,
about 4 months ago.
that's not the cover that's in the actual book.
It's
that I
not.
have. No.
And then, so I pulled up 2 from
This
that
is
and
the
sent
cover.
it to you. Okay. Because the Night Bitch cover has a slab of meat.
Yep.
And I thought that was so hilarious. And of course, that the title is Night Bitch.
And honestly, I read both of these books and they are both excellent.
Yeah.
So, In the Quick by Kate Hope Day is basically a Jane Eyre style story, but in space. But
Oh,
it's
cool.
not
Okay.
boring. It's because I found out afterwards that it was a Jane Eyre style story after I finished reading it, and I would not have put it together. Honestly,
good.
it's so good. And Night Bitch. Oh my fucking god. I got this one right before Christmas. It's not a very big, long read. I read it immediately.
Yeah.
It is hilarious and fantastic, and it's all
wait.
about motherhood. So I think you need to read it, because
know.
it's basically... It's like... I don't know. She's just like... It starts with this woman who has like a 2-year-old kid, and she starts having this patch of fur growing on the back of her neck, and she's like, am I weird? Like, what is this? Like, what is this hair? And then she gets like a little tail going on, and it's like, my teeth are getting sharper. And then it's just fantastic. She just wants to play doggy with her kid. It's hilarious. It's so good. And it's about motherhood. And like her husband, she's so angry with him because he travels a lot for work and he leaves her alone with the kid. And then like she just asks him at the end, she's like, can you do this? And he's like, sure. And she's like, all I had to do was ask. And he was willing to help. He should have offered. And I'm like, I was just like, my kids are not small anymore, but I was still relating hard. And I'm not living in America, so I didn't have to quit my job to, afford daycare and all of that stuff. But still, like, I was relating so much to that book. It was excellent. So what was your favorite covers?
My favorite cover is the duology of Fable and Namesake. When you put those 2 together, and it's that gorgeous Fable with that auburn red hair and those crystal clear blue eyes, and she's just such a badass pirate bitch, and I just love her. And those covers, every time I see them, I get like, I love it.
That's true.
It's so good. And of course, that's by Adrienne Young. And I wrote Night Bitch because I saw it on that list, and I thought this is such a unique, cool cover for what the book is about.
It's a name too.
And the name too.
The name, Night Bitch. Like, and you don't even know what the mom's named. You don't learn her name throughout the whole book. She just refers to herself as Night Bitch.
Yeah.
Because her husband, it's in the beginning, he wakes up, he's like, you were such a bitch last night. And she's like, I was a night bitch. And then she just refers to herself as a night bitch the whole time. It's excellent. It's so good.
I love that. But my worst cover was also on that list that I saw, and I sent this to you, and that was a book I haven't read yet, so I'm just basing the cover, not on the actual book. Mm-hmm. And that is Since We Last Spoke by Erica LaRocca. And this is the one where the face like melts away, and then you see like the brains, and it's like super slidey down the page and stuff, and it is a ballet story. So I was like, whoa, left field. Since we last spoke, your face has melted.
My face melted since we last spoke. Yeah. I'd actually chose books out of the ones we've read.
Yeah,
and
I have one too.
Worst ones were The Bridge Kingdom.
That's literally
because we talked so much about this cover. It's so bad. It's like this watercolor mess where you're like, it's like a Van Gogh where you're like, what the fuck is this?
They
and
don't
this
even
book is
look like that in the
it's
book.
Terrible. And
That
such
is
a good
literally
book.
on here, Bridge Kingdom covers by Danielle Jansen.
And the other one was Spell Hackers.
Spell Hackers.
Which is bad.
So bad. Yeah.
This is bad.
It's so bad and basic and has nothing to do with the book either.
Nope.
But the fact that the Bridge Kingdom has like cover artists for the covers that we thought were the worst books, and you actually, not worst books, I should say worst covers, but you had it on one of the series that you liked the most this year. So it's not to say that we would have wrongfully judged these books if we only judged them by the covers. Absolutely. Because the covers were so very bad. But give all books a chance, whether or not.
Just read the little blurb. Ignore the cover and read the blurb.
And our last...
What are you looking forward to in 2022?
I know! I actually could, rant off a list, in fact. But I have here that Sarah J. Maas's House of Sky and Breath. This is the second Crescent City one. I told you about this, that I was reading Crescent City. And for about 75% of it, I was like, good God, something needs to happen.
Yeah.
And then the last 100 pages, it all happens. And then I'm like, I need the next book. So I can't wait for that. And I also, of course, can't wait for Raven Kennedy's next one, which is going to be called Glow.
Yes.
Of the Glint series. The Plated Prisoner series.
Is on my list too.
And it can't come out soon enough. Like, I will be anticipating it every month.
Yeah. I have on my list, the one apart from Glow is the book I really cannot wait for.
Yeah.
Is Holly Black's debut adult story book called Book of Night, and it comes out May 3rd. And I am so excited because I love Holly Black and I've read all of her books, and she's actually going to write something that's not teenagey but for adults, and I cannot wait. Another one that I'm really looking forward to is Sea of Tranquility by Emily St. John Mandel, and I really love Emily St. John Mandel. Which, to say that my favorite Emily St. John Mandel book, Station 11, is now a TV show. So excited.
Yeah.
And then V.E. Schwab is releasing a standalone book called Gallant, March 1st, so I'm excited about that. And if Goodread is to be believed, there's going to be a third Six of Crows book coming out next year. Yes. No. We'll see. There's no title for it, and I couldn't find anything confirmed, but it is in Goodreads as to be released in 2022.
Oh my gosh!
And then it's Chain of Thorns, which is the third one in Cassandra Clare's series that I've been reading the other two, and they left on quite a freaking cliffhanger, so I had to be pissed off for about a month. And the final book in the Dreamer trilogy by Maggie Stiefvater.
Yeah.
Which I'm excited about too. And then, obviously, we've forgotten to mention, so I put it in honorable mentions because looking forward to is a very strong word for this, but the Crush Crave Covet, whatever freaking it's going to be called, I can't remember.
Covet. It's Covet, right?
But but Covet has already been out.
It's already out.
It's The Court and something else. There's two books that we're waiting for here anyways. And I remember hating Grace, but I can't remember why. So I'm looking forward to this
because of her 1,000,000-hour long monologues during an action scene.
Yes, for sure. Now I remember.
And she's quite annoying. But
so annoying.
I am looking forward to seeing which of the brothers she's actually...
And I know one of the books that's coming out is going to be all about what happened in the month she was a gargoyle, and I cannot wait for that.
I can't wait for that either.
Yeah. So that is what I'm looking forward to. What should, not be a book? It's like,
do you know
can't believe they're making another one.
Do you know, I love Amelia Hutchins like a gazillion, bajillion times.
Yeah.
And I've read every single one of her books, whether they're awful or whether they're amazing. And I especially like her Legacy of Nine Realms series. And Flames of Chaos is coming out, or Flames of Chaos is the first book in the series. The fourth one is coming out. I've talked to you about it. It's like, is she a phoenix? Yeah. Is she a dragon? What is she? And I'm so excited
She's a phoenix dragon.
She's a phoenix dragon. She is some glorious bird, and I cannot wait to find out what she is. She is a peacock. Because she was nesting last time. She gathered all this stuff in the library and then made a nest and had sex inside of the nest. Anyways, I'm dying for this next book. And then I see Amelia Hutchins' Instagram, and she's like, everyone needs to hold their fucking panties. It's going to be coming out soon. Relax. It's been a year. Blah, blah, blah. These are the lists. And then on the next one, she's like, okay, it's a massive book. It's 800 pages or something like that. We need to taper it down a bit, and it's going to be released in the first quarter of next year. So I look forward to that. But in that same message, she said, it's going to be one of 7.
That's too many.
And I'm like, no. It's too many.
But I told you, I don't know, I didn't even look it up because I gave up on this series and I really don't want to know how many more books are out after this. But I read this series of book a few years ago that's about necromancer. And it's I can't remember what it's called now. It's something about something necromancer. And it's there's a romance in there, but they don't even kiss until book 6. Oh. And it's so, it's so long.
Yeah. It's dragged out.
The Last Necromancer, the Minister of Curiosities. I am curious to see now, because I did give up.
After 6 books?
No, I read more than that. I read 9, 10 I read. Yeah, there's
11?
No. There was a complete Ministry of Curiosities box set that came out. So maybe it's done. I don't know. It didn't feel very done where they left off. But yeah.
It's too many.
Yeah. 10 books in a series is just too many.
I think 7 is also too many. But I think 5 is the longest you can go. And if you make the 5th one, and I'm talking about if it's all the same characters also. Yeah. Because like the S.J. Maas one where she did 3 and then she did a novella. And now each next book is like another characters.
So you sticking within the universe.
You stick within the universe. Okay. But not...
But that can't
not
get
more than 5. It needs
honestly.
To be 4. It needs to be 4 and the 5th is a novella. It cannot be 7. Yeah. It's just too many.
But I tried to do some research on like what books are getting sequels that we read kind of thing. Yeah. And one that's getting a sequel is The Boyfriend Material. And I was like, but why?
Weird.
So The Husband Material is coming out. Yeah. Okay. I wasn't too excited about that. So I felt that might as well just not
because
happen.
That was like a fake relationship trope, right?
Yeah, fully. And they were like not even good together kind of thing.
No. Womp womp.
Womp womp. Anyways.
That is our year in review of 2021. And let's look forward to 2022 for this world being a little bit a better place to live in.
But I'm not ready for this. You know, like I've only just now realized that it's 2021. I've been sure it's been 2020 most year. And now it's 2022. Like I'm not. It's not okay. It feels like 2022 feels like the future. What happened?
I just like the sound of 2022, and I've been saying it also at the end of my yoga classes, like, see you in 2022. I like really, I'm looking forward to it.
But then someone said that 2022 is like 2022.
I know, I saw that, and I was like, thank you, Debbie Downer.
Yeah. Yeah. Let's get out of this pandemic. Let's get back to normal. Let's travel again. It would be nice to see family. That would be awesome.
Oh, what? Can we go to Canada without being like assaulted for not wearing a mask every 5 seconds? My God. We shall see.
We'll see. Anyways, Happy New Year's, and we'll see you next year.
Bye.
We'd Rather Be Reading is an original podcast by Jerrica and Lia and The music for The Penguins, written and performed by David Allred from the album The Transition, courtesy of Erased Tapes. Please check him out on Spotify and check us out on social media. We're on Facebook and Instagram at We'd Rather Be Reading and on Twitter at We'd Rather Read. You can also email us at we'drathebereadingthepod@gmail.com. Thanks for listening.